even in personal, interactions and engagements with people who have had issues with the EFCC. You hear stories of corruption, even with lawyers who have been, involved with the EFCC on behalf of their clients. Demand that.
All right, we'll try to reconnect with Chike Chide. I think we're having a lot of network glitch this morning. We're also going to try to connect with Barrister Atta. Now we're going over the recent reports. The federal government probing the EFCC over alleged misconduct, bribery allegations. 15 million naira. It was told that millions were paid to the EFCC and the NCS for particular socialites to get away with some cases. There's been videos circulating online, and that's not speaking well of our institutions. Hello, Achike. Good to have you back.
Yeah, is it clear now?
Yes, audible enough. All right, go on.
Okay, yeah. So what I was saying is that I took it with some degree of impression was that there was nothing new about allegations of corruption in Nigeria, especially even if it involves the anti-corruption body, the EFCC. For a very long time, I think people have been talking about the goings-on at the EFCC, people with their own personal experiences with of corruption. And so when you have, issues and stories of corruption hanging around the head of the people who are supposed to be fighting corruption, what are you going to find along the rank and file of the organization? Because they are watching, what is happening with their bosses. They are watching the body language of their bosses. And that body language can only encourage them that they can actually do it and also get away with it. And so it's nothing new. I want to say that, normally it should be, offensive to us because we have seen what the damage corruption has done to us as individuals, as citizens, as a country, as a country. And how obnoxious it is, and should give us a greater compulsion or desire to want to get rid of it. But when the temple or the people that are involved in fighting corruption.
Yeah, go on. All right, we'll have a network glitch soon enough. We'll have to talk about that one as well. Why do we consistently have network glitch? Post 64 years independence in the country, there are some things that ought to be gotten right by now. We'll try to reconnect with Achike today. We're still going over this particular report, and he's just looking at it holistically. Corruption in our country and institutions. Later on, we'll connect with Barrister Atta on the program. And you're listening on the other end of the radio. This is Spotlight and Super FM 92.7. You can share your thoughts with us. 0805-092-0927. Hello, Achike. Okay. All right, we'll keep trying. Share your thoughts with us, or you can send a WhatsApp message on 0705 690 0927. Your thoughts on the prevalence of corruption in Nigeria. Your thoughts on the particular report. How would you rate the federal government's move so far as regards suspending some senior officers? Because now the Correctional Service, in a statement, has confirmed the suspension of 4 senior officers due to alleged misconduct. We've seen some swift move from the federal government. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjiojo, also inaugurated a committee, like I said, and he noted that there is going to be a holistic approach to unravel the issues being investigated. So we'll try to connect with Barrister Atta, and later on try to have Achike Chide back on the program. So share your thoughts with us. By the way, the EFCC boss has said that Nigeria can rule the world and conquer corruption. So while we celebrated the independence anniversary yesterday, the executive chairman, talking about corruption still, of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Ola Olukayode, said that the agency is resolute in the fight against corruption. And of course, he called for more commitment to this fight against economic and financial crimes and other acts of corruption, in line with the president's renewed hope agenda. So, of course, he went on to assure Nigerians that the institution is resolute in its drive to make the country corruption-free. All right, Barrister Atta, good to have you connect with us.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, welcome to the program. So I don't know if you've been following the conversation, but I started off with a reaction as regards this recent allegations against the EFCC and the NCS. Hello,
Hello?
Barrister Attack. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm sure you've been following this particular report of the EFCC and the NCS collecting millions allegedly. There's been widespread reactions from Nigerians. The reps have made move. The Minister of Interior too, has set up a committee to probe this development. And yeah, so the NCS too has suspended some officials. Now we are looking at it that corruption is something that some would say is already embedded in our system. So what's your reaction to this one?
Yes, you see that EFCC, they are, as a government a body that is saddled with the responsibility to checkmate corruption, economic corruption, and if they are caught up in this kind of heavy allegation against them, it's an embarrassment to our nation because you can't eat your cake and have it. So EFCC have been accused, and then other government agencies have been accused of corruption. And then we can see what is circulating on social media against the integrity of this institution. And the government have, in an attempt to clear themselves, have suspended the concerned officer. It's not enough to suspend them. I'm saying that the government should recommend them for prosecution because nobody is above the law. And you that you are even the custodian of what the law have put on board, you are even supposed to be the person that will protect the society and then stand against corruption. You are caught in the web of corruption. So for me, by all standards, they should be recommended for prosecution
Okay, so
because of the fact that,
yeah,
hello?
yeah, we can hear you.
Because
Go
of
on.
the fact that if they are not prosecuted today, other people, the illegality and the unconstitutionalism will continue in the system. Corruption is now a cankerworm that have eaten up in the system. Or the people now collect bribe for their selfish interests or for any reason. It's not deceiving and he that give and he that collect is an offense. That is how bogus and how detrimental that offense of corrupt bribery is. He that give and then he that collect is an offense. And then we're having more people coming out to confess because the offense is dual purpose. The person that give, the person that receive. So it's not one-way traffic.
Yeah, but
Because I know.
beyond
Hello?
moving beyond prosecuting the officers now, before we get to that point, what do you think about the federal government's response to this so far? The
The
Minister of
service of.
Interior, yes, beyond moving to, you said they should not just be suspended, but then they should be prosecuted as well to serve as an example, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think about the federal government's move so far as regards this particular allegations against the EFCC? Because the reps, had invited the parties involved, and we've been seeing a lot of follow up as regards this particular allegation. So, what do you think? How would you rate this particular reaction or response from the government?
I'm not in support of this public prosecution that is going on at the National Assembly. The National Assembly, their primary purpose is to make law for the good governance of Nigeria. Their oversight function is what they are doing by checkmating and by trying to set up a panel of inquiries to sit over these kind of matters. But in as much as you are doing it, you need to set up that committee in such a way that all the evidence that will be used in the court, they are now in the public domain. And it's very dangerous.
Okay.
Where you have already conducted and convicted the party because as the evidence, as the facts are coming to the social media terrain, people will make a prejudgment as to whether any of the parties are guilty or not, which is not the hallmark, which is not the original intention of Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution that give power to the judiciary to interpret law that are made by the National Assembly, to settle dispute between individuals, states and individuals, and then companies and individuals or government per se. So for me, I think that this public hearing is not hygienic for an offense that has a criminal undertone.
Okay.
Because people are beginning to judge on social media, people are beginning to make pronouncements. And that's why you see that one of the principal party refused to attend. And then he sent his lawyer. He alleged that his health condition is otherwise. So my point is that, and then this is not a criminal, this is not a court that is mandated to come at all time, except on exceptional ground where it borders on his health. So for me, my point is that this public hearing is not really good for us, because at the end, if people are going to make caricature of the system, so the government should be wise enough and ensure that things should be done properly. Because eventually this panel that is being set up by the National Assembly now, they will recommend them for prosecution if they are fair, because they cannot make any pronouncement that will bind on any party per se, because two of the principal parties, particularly the party that brought the story online, is not the government employees, and then the accused party is not the government employees, and justice is not one-way traffic. That's why, for me, I cannot make any pronouncement until the court say that, this party is guilty, this party is right. And these are heavy allegations against principal officers.
But when it comes to investigations, isn't, the NAS empowered to investigate? Hello? Isn't the NAS constitutionally empowered to investigate? They are not interpreting the law now, but, setting up committee to investigate activities in these institutions.
I have said that Section 4 of the Constitution describe the functions of the National Assembly, which is to make law for the good governance. Other provisions of the Constitution give them an oversight power to investigate these species of issues, because one of the agency of Nigeria is concerned. You are getting my point. But underneath the whole exercise, there is a heavy criminal allegation. So once there is a crime, once an offense is alleged to have been committed, I'm using the word alleged because I'm not convicting any of the parties, just like how some lay Nigerian men are viewing it on social media. This is guilty, this is guilty, this is corrupt. No, it is only the courts that have the capacity, that have the power, that is constitutionally empowered to listen to both parties. After listening to both parties, before the court can make pronouncement. So what the National Assembly is doing, they are just giving popularity to one of the parties. You can see the whole drama and everything that play out. So we take a lot of things for granted in this part of the world.
Barrister, I want to ask you, what are some of the root causes of corruption in the country?
Sir?
What are some of the root causes of corruption in the country?
The real causes of corruption.
Root. Look at the root, going down.
A lot of factors contribute to corruption in this part of the world. One, selfishness. People are selfish. They want to have everything on earth. Then number two, where we have people who is innate, is imbued, is naturally in them. Is in them to be corrupt. They cannot see something and then their eyes will pass through. That's number two. And then number three is the fact that people are greedy. Whatever they have, they are not satisfied with it. So they go extra mile and then thereby engaging in corruption. And then number four, lack of proper planning. You see a police officer who is the salary is up to 100,000.
Would you say all of this boils down to the law? Would you say that the judiciary not working to full effect, like some would say?
The judiciary not working to that.
But what I mean is, for lack of a better term, not delivering. Okay, now when the laws are stringent, when there are cases of, like in some countries where you have capital punishment. Saudi Arabia, I think they just hit a new mark of the country with the most executions. So what do you think? Do you think that maybe the laws are not tough enough on people that have been...
even the law that we have, we can't even enforce it. Let me tell you something. There's people don't get it right. We have enough law in this part of the world. We are not even done enforcing them. It's not by... I'm looking at it from the aspect of the criminology, causes of why people commit an offense. I'm looking at it individually now, because we need to look at it individually before we shift the burden to the state. The law has prohibited something, the punishment is there, but you see people still do it. So, and then they will find their way. So we need to look at it from the grassroots. What are the causes of corruption? What is the factors that lead people to corruption? So a lot of factors. People don't plan themselves. So therefore, they don't plan themselves. And then at the end of the day, once liabilities begin to spark up, reality starts speaking, they will have to engage in corruption to feed. So a lot of factors, government factors, because our problem in this part of the world is even we need to equally help ourselves. We don't push everything on the government because is it the government that is telling them to go and steal money? Is it the government that is asking them to go and collect money from a convicted prisoner and then put him somewhere as against where the court originally made pronouncement? The court have done its part by convicting the person and sentence the person to the correctional center, and then individual unilaterally as alleged in that video, or as alleged by the party that came on board and then and brought the to our notice. Individual individual went contrary to the order of the court. Is it the court that did that? So the court is trying its best. It's not that the court is not perfect, but in as much as the court is doing that, let us equally support, because if you look at administration of criminal justice in Nigeria, it's not just the court alone. It's you and I.
A lot of people are saying that only the rich get judgments. What do you have to say about that system now?
Other people are saying what?
A lot of part of the conversation going on is the fact that only the rich get judgments, get to have court hearings, or get away
The status.
Yes, only the rich, only the upper class gets to get court hearing. I don't know the term you use, but a lot of people talk about when it comes to court cases now, barrister. Can you hear me?
Take it again.
Okay, so part of word on the street as regards this particular issue. Am I audible enough? Barrister Atta, are you with me?
I can hear a little that other people are saying.
Okay, so I mentioned that there's been a lot of reactions as regards this one, and some people are saying that in Nigeria today, allegedly only the rich get fair court hearing. A lot of cases are pushed, adjourned until further notice, and that affects the system. And so, what would be your reaction to that? Why do you think that is, and if it is, and the way, like, your response to it?
I agree. I agree to an extent, but I cannot agree less. And then let me also say that in as much as the court system is congested, we need more court system. We have lesser courts right now as I'm speaking to you, and then the courts often go on vacation every July and then resume back in September. That's about 3 months. And then in the High Court now, you agree with me that matters, if you have in a year, your matter may likely come up 3 times in a year because you don't court alone. So the burden is too much. And then that's why some of us are advocating that we need to embrace technology and then try to copy as reasonable as possible to what is obtainable in the Western world. I literally agree to an extent that matters are being delayed, but the fact that people are now saying that justice is for the rich people is what I don't agree with. That is the original intention of the Constitution.
Okay.
So it's not that, and that's what the court have said in the case of Josiah versus the state. Justice is not a one-way traffic. Justice for the accused person who is accused of committing an offense. He also deserves justice.
Okay.
And justice
Yeah.
for the aggrieved party, which apparently is the person who is a victim of the offense, and justice for the court, and justice for the state. So it's all inclusive. It's not one-way traffic.
Okay. So
we should understand that the court is human, and based on the fact that is presented before the court, is based on that fact that the court will make pronouncement. People emotions outside will not have its way in the corridor of justice. It is what is before the court that the court is duty bound to ensure that justice is done.
So how effective are existing anti-corruption laws and policies, Barrister Atta?
Are they currently in Nigeria? Well, you see that we have different bodies that are saddled with the responsibility of corruption, for prevention of corruption in Nigeria. We have the Nigerian Police Force, we have the ICPC thereabout, we have the EFCC, and then a lot of them. So even you and I, we're also part and parcel of this journey. It's not narrowed down or restricted to government establishment alone. Because if you see that the law is that anybody who see that an offense is about to be committed or an offense is being committed, he has the capacity, he has the power to arrest that person that is about to or is committing that offense. So for me, I think we have enough law. Like I told you, we have
Mm.
enough. Our major lacunas is the fact is enforcement. How are we going to enforce it? And then equally the fact that people are frustrating the system. We have people in the system who are frustrating it. I've gone to court severally to file court processes, and then you see that these people are using services to notify themselves as to how you have to tip them. And then if you don't tip them, it's now a matter of right. So this corruption is not just narrowed down to the security personnel, it's all round. And then it's something that we need to stand firm against and then fight against it. So, and then another thing is this aspect of forum shopping. The government is beginning to forum shop as to the people to prosecute. If we belong to the same party, you are safe. If we don't belong to the same political party, you are not safe. Look
That's
at how they
allegedly,
often,
Barrister.
sir,
You
sir,
know that's an allegation, right? That's not.
and I'm going down there. I'm going. It's not an allegation. We are seeing it openly. It's something that have been
But like you
happening
said, it has
severally.
to be founded. Like it has to be
Because you
confirmed.
will agree with me that there was a time that the then APC boss then he said once you join APC your sins are forgiven.
That's one
I hope
person
you
making
followed.
a statement. That's not for the entire party. That's a personal statement, Barrister.
So it's not an allegation. It's something that we know about. You can see the case of this Yaya Bello. He went to EFCC and then EFCC failed to arrest him. How will you correlate that? If he's a Yahoo boy now or any other person now, which I'm not in support, I'm not in support of that, but I'm in support of justice. What is good for Mr. A must be good for Mr. B. So it's not a matter of where you like Mr. A and then you don't like Mr. B. It's not a personal something. It has to be all collectiveness in the interest of justice.
Mm.
That's my point because we have them, we have all the bodies that are there, but because of the fact that our politicians will not allow this system to work, that's why
Mm.
we are lacking behind in this mess.
Mm. Mm. All right. So, are there policy reforms that are needed to prevent corruption in the country?
Yes, a lot, a lot. One is that we need to, the government needs to put training on board. Training on board should be put on board regularly, at least monthly, to ensure that people are well educated as to the practical implication and the outcome of corruption, where they are caught in the web of that corrupt practices. The training is very, very important. And then the court, for me, I think that the court should have a special, although we have them now, we have the criminal division, but we should have designated special justices of the appellate courts and even the trial courts to see that to handle matters that are corruption wise, and then constant training of them is very, very important. And then a little amendment of our law to make the punishment so dogged in such a way that it can deter people is very, very important.
Mm.
With that, and then our politicians they need to stay back from interfering with corruption cases. That is the only way we can get it right. Otherwise, we are going to be hippie harloting and then without any progress
Mm.
in the nearest future if we don't put all this on board.
Okay, extending the conversation now to the Nigeria Police Force. There are talks about, misconduct and police brutality and misconduct. Now, there are also a lot of conversation about corruption within the force. What will be your thoughts on that? What do you have to say about activities in the Nigeria
Police
Police Force?
brutality
Yes, and misconduct.
and
Misconduct, barrister. Can you hear me?
okay,
Yeah.
well, yes, you see that I want to thank the youths that they are now using the social media era to 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 expose all this brutality. Otherwise, all these police people they often get away with it. But now with the era and the advance of this social media, people now use their phone and zoom it and video them from far, and that to an extent is equally fine tuning their thinking faculty immediately, because I was in the public car transportation last time, and then I saw an officer that wanted to collect bribe. Immediately, I brought my phone out. The man retired back, and then that is how we left. So you see that fear that spark up. So we
Mm.
cannot
So, but why do you
water
think
down
this is
the.
the case within the force now? What do you think fuels corruption within the Nigeria police force?
What do I
What do you think fuels, puts more fire in the, adds to the corruption level in Nigeria police force?
in Nigerian system?
In the
It's because
police
of the
force specifically now.
in
The police, Nigeria police. What do you think adds to the
one is the
yeah?
fact that government have been saying for years that
Yes, barrister.
government have been saying for years that they want to increase their salaries, their emoluments.
Mm-hmm.
Up till date, I don't know whether the new salary structure have been implemented, and then they need to implement the salary structure for them so that they can have a proper emolument. Is very very important. Then number two, training. See that these people cannot even read and write. How
Mm.
can you get such people in the system? Inexperienced, he cannot even read and write. That is part and parcel of the corruption we are talking about. And then you see a
Does
lot
it
of
really
them. They
take
are
reading and writing or just thinking like a thief? Because I hear something in law. I think I heard a comment in law. I don't know where I picked that from. It says you have to think like a thief to catch a thief. So does it really
you have to
determine you having a PhD to perform effectively in the police force?
take it again.
Do you really have to have the highest level of education? Do you really have to have any level of education at all?
You
Like,
don't need to have. Let me say something.
mm,
So you have to write. You have to write because you'll be caught in the web in a situation to write. So part of the training and part of the requirement for employment should include that you can read and write. Then you have asked whether the qualification entails having the highest level of education. There is no law that says that even a secondarian, you can see in our constitution, for you to even be the president of our great country, all that you need is that you just need to be an O level. He did not even say whether you have 5 credits or not. Are
mm,
you getting my point? So
mm-hmm.
the point I'm making is that so so the point I'm making is
Yes.
that the least qualification can give you that employment.
Okay.
Yes, the least qualification, even O level,
Mm.
can
And you
give you
think
that.
that's an issue? That's part of the issue contributing to.
I'm not advocating. You can have that O level, but the point is that we should not put an illiterate people in the system because these people are the image
Mm.
of the country. They are going to interfere. They are going to interfere with foreigners that come into the country.
Mm.
They are going to have dealings with civilized people. And then if you are not civilized to an extent, if you are not social, if you are not accommodative, if you cannot even communicate, how on earth can you interact with people? It's very, very important. And these are part of what can lead to corruption. If you cannot communicate, some people will come and then they will approach you. The next thing, because you cannot communicate, you will now have inferiority complex.
Mm.
All this thing matters.
Okay.
Inferiority complex because you cannot communicate. And then once you have inferiority complex, people can easily penetrate you and bribe you, and then justice will not be served.
Mm. All right, if you're listening to us, this is Spotlight on Super FM 92.7. I am Kimberly, your host. Right now, we have Barrister Atta on the line with us. He's joining us via the phone to talk about corruption in Nigeria. We're looking at it holistically. The case study, of course, has been the recent allegations, bribery allegations, and misconduct. Alleged against, I said allegations already, against the EFCC and the NCS, that's the Nigeria Correctional Service. And Barrister Atta Sofa has shared his thoughts on some policy reforms that needs to take place, and he questioned the implementation of the already existing anti-corruption laws and policies. So now, Barrister Atta, let's talk about you talked about problem with implementation, but now, how do you think corruption can be effectively measured and tracked? What would be your recommendations? I mean, in Nigeria.
Take it again.
How do you think corruption can be effectively measured and tracked?
Can be effectively curtailed in Nigeria.
Yeah, yes. Okay. How do you think it can be effectively curtailed in Nigeria?
Well, I think we need to start by having a rethink as a nation. Otherwise, we're not going to get it right. That's number one. Individuality and fine-tuning their orientation about things, about this thing we call corruption is very, very key. We need to start from inward. And then number two is wherein we recruit the right people. We need to be checkmating the cash flow of those officers concerned. Because one, if you hire somebody and then you see